I now invite Team Wilkinson to come forward.
Good morning. Before I get started, I would like for Team Wilkinson to introduce themselves. The captain.
The captain, you're right. I'm Nellie Wilkinson.
I'm Rebecca. This is Ben.
I'm Martha Wilkinson.
Jack Wilkinson, and that one's Banks.
Del Renfro.
Soon to be a member of Team Wilkinson. And Evie can't make it. She's in Louisville. I've been asked to share my thoughts about the 200th anniversary celebration with you this morning. And I am serving on the anniversary committee, and we've come up with a very full year of great activities throughout the whole 200th year. We've broken it up into 4 sections: foundation of the church, the education, the transition period with the church, and of course, mission. So in the upcoming months, you're going to hear more and more about all 4 of these areas with the church. When I reflect on growing up in this church, one word comes to mind, and that is gratitude. Second Presbyterian has been a very important part of my life since birth. I was baptized here along with my 3 brothers. I was one of 4 sons of Jack and Martha Wilkinson, hence Jack and Martha. We couldn't come up with new names. And one of my very earliest memories of this church is sitting in the back in my grandfather's lap, kind of rubbing his lapel and sitting through sermons with Jim Angel in the pulpit. And it was very comforting to sit in my grandfather's lap. Jim Angel and his family were very close to my family. We all had children of similar ages, and Jamie Angel was a typical PK, and we got in a lot of trouble with Jamie, following him around in the back of the church. I remember the good times with church basketball. Bill Carl was our coach, and my mother offered to pay him money for every pound we lost. My brothers and I were very chubby. And Carson Evans was the star of the team. And we had a good time with church basketball and church banquets. We went, I remember vividly going to lots and lots of church dinners and suppers and whatnot. And in the 50s and early 60s, growing up in Lexington, that was really our only time out for dinner. I mean, we didn't go out much as a family except to a church dinner. So we always got excited. Oh, we're going out tonight. It's a church dinner. So we always went to those. I remember my Sunday school years, first up on the 3rd floor. It was bedlam up there. But Maggie Glass was one of my teachers. Mrs. Macklin was a teacher. Jane Kroll was an amazing lady. She ran the senior highs for a long time. And so we had just a really good foundation. We felt so comfortable and loved in this church growing up. It's been so much of our family, Nellie's and my family. Going way back, my grandfather, his mother sang in the church choir. My grandfather was on the building committee when this building was erected, and he donated the windows in memory of his wife, Ezekiel and Daniel. And I remember when Jim Angel would come to our house in the latter part of his years when he was bedridden, and Jim Angel would sit and talk to him for hours, and I would sit and eavesdrop. It was a wonderful experience. My mother and father were married here after the war, and both of them had their funerals here. And I remember the church just enveloped us with love and support and just propped us up that whole time during both of those periods in our lives. Our children have enjoyed so many church activities. Sunday school. Tom Lingeman and I taught Sunday school for a while. That was interesting, to say the least, wasn't it, Tom? I don't know if the students got much of it, but we had a blast. Burnham Wood, church plays and pageants, youth group, youth trips, Breakaway. Breakaway was a very special part of our lives growing up. I think our kids would still say that today, that some of their fondest memories of this church were Breakaway. And then, of course, the leadership. We're so grateful for the leadership with Mari Robertson, Ron Byers, David Rennick, and, of course, Dan and Dan's wonderful staff. So we're just very grateful about that. We're very pleased. Everything going on? Okay. They're our props. We're pleased that Jack and Becca married here. Bye, Ben. Sorry. He made it through the first service. But Jack's a trustee. That makes Nellie and I very pleased that he's continuing the work of the church. And Martha is an elder, and we're thrilled about that. And Martha and Dell are going to be married here in May, and just like your great-grandparents. So we're very pleased with that. So I've talked a little bit about the past, but let's talk a little bit about the future. This celebration that we're coming up on is just as much about reflecting on the past as well as what we're going to do going forward in the future. And Nellie and I think the future is very bright for this church and this family. And there's a lot of people I'm looking out here that have built an amazing foundation right over here for this church. And I think we've got a wonderful foundation to move forward. And every Sunday when Nellie and I see all those young kids scramble down there and line up to leave for their worship service, it just makes our hearts soar. And there is a great, great future in this church when we see that. It's just so wonderful to see that with our family. We've seen renovations in recent years. The mission work is just as vibrant as ever. The young families joining the church every year, that just makes us feel so good. The preschool, the way they've repurposed the preschool, and Nellie's serving on the board. All this points to a bright, bright future for Second Presbyterian. And my generation and the ones before us have a tremendous opportunity to help ensure that our church goes forward and that we continue to have this bright and vibrant future. On March 8th, there will be a workshop on planned giving and estate planning. And I would urge you to come and listen to ways that we can ensure that this church goes on for another century or two. So come and find out what you can do to help the church move forward by giving some of our treasures. My prayer and my hope, and it's Nellie's and my prayer and hope, that on our 275th anniversary, Banks and Ben, and hopefully Martha and Dell's children, no pressure, can tell their grandchildren about their great-great-grandfather donating windows and be standing right here then. Thank you all.